This is the reason why Saints Row quality is falling off. The story of the game was very lackluster at some parts. The only character that I found reasonably interesting was Eli. And like Kevin and Nina, they were interesting at the start, only because I was new to the game. But like as you know, over time you get used to them. That the story arc just kind of flatlined. You know, you got a little bit of development here and there, but then it was just a bit eh. But Eli, you could see him like constantly changing. Like you could see him going from like basically a pacifist to using firearms and wanting to be a bit violent, and it was great. It was quite funny, to be fair. But like the story overall, with like the characters and the storyline, it was very interesting and felt reasonably fresh until the ending. If you've ever played like Saints Row to the first Saints Row to like Saints Row the third, it felt like they took all that and just compacted it into one game. And I felt like they shouldn't have done that. I feel like they should like spend a little bit longer working with it. You know, maybe like the first game, you start off building your empire. You're not really pushing the limits, but like have it so like the game's quite fun. Like they have like this tech tank. I don't want to do too many spoilers, but like this really high tech tank that if you played Saints Row the Third, you'll know what I'm talking about. Basically like that, but like their own design. They could have done like something better, like maybe like a spider tank or like a tank that hovers, or literally it could be anything else. I don't understand why they're taking previous vehicles and just like redoing the model and saying, yeah, this is different. Like it doesn't make sense to me, to be honest. But like in comparison, this game is very disappointing when you like compare it to the old Saints Row. I would probably put it above Saints Row 4, the one with the President Alien Simulation one, and Saints Row Get Out of Hell. Although Get Out of Hell felt like it could have been more like a DLC, to be honest. I don't know if anyone else played it, but that's how I feel about Get Out of Hell. But this review isn't about Get Out of Hell. This review is about Saints Row, the new one. So the weapons, when it comes to weapons, the weapons weren't really exciting for me. It's like it was more of a downgrade than anything, to be honest. Like they were really basic. Apart from a few of them, there's few of them are really quite fun. And I won't describe the weapons like the really fun ones and like the exotic ones, if you want to call it that. Because I'm trying to keep this as spoiler free as possible while still like keeping the review quite, got a lot of meat on the bone. But there is one weapon where they basically, it just feels like they stole it from another game. And they said, yeah, this is a new fun weapon. And it's like, well, no, it just feels like you stole it from another game. And I've had fun in that game. So what do you expect me to do with this? The weaponized vehicles, as I said, are just remakes, to be honest. There's nothing really interesting more to talk about there. Although the VTOL does look a lot cooler than the one in Saints Row the Third. I will give them that. But like the hover bike and the skateboard, in comparison to all that, it's really shit. Honestly, I don't know why they thought that would be fun. The skateboard is hard to control. The hover bike is also hard to control. It wasn't fun. It wasn't fun for me at all. I just hated it. I was thinking to myself, when will this mission be over? Because I want to use a normal vehicle that has 4 goddamn wheels and can steer properly. I just feel like they could have spent a lot longer to make really cool vehicles. As I said, like like maybe a spider tank or something like that. But I think like signature abilities, getting them on the vehicles it's just taken away from Saints Row the Third. They're basically doing what like EA did with The Sims, is where if you slowly look at like the fucking graph of Sims content that's in the base game to Sims content that comes to DLC. If you make those two comparisons on the X and Y, you'll see that this is starting to follow that trend. They're just taking stuff from like Saints Row the Third or any other Saints Row, and then they're like, okay, let's just make them earn their way. Where instead you got to pay money and you'd get it. Like, I'm talking about, like, the kneecappers in Saints Row the Third. Like, you pay money on a vehicle and you got it. But obviously you had to, like, grind through levels to unlock stuff. I don't remember if you have to grind any levels to unlock the kneecappers in Saints Row the Third. But I do remember that all you had to do was spend money and you could get it on all vehicles. Whereas this takes that away. And then it says, hey, now you got a signature ability. Like, most of the signature abilities on the vehicles and the weapons are, you know, quite, like, new. You know, they're quite interesting. But I just don't take, like, old abilities, like, that you could pay for in Saints Row the Third and then just say, here's some new content of signature abilities. It makes it, honestly, it just, I hate it. And, you know, we're going to move on to the side missions now, because I feel like I've really, you know, really really battered the shit out of weapons and vehicles. Actually, one more thing before we move on. When it comes to weapon upgrades, like, it's just boring. It's like you spend, I know this is going to be a spoiler, but it's a minor spoiler. Anyone should expect this. You spend, like, I think it's like $5 grand on the first ability to upgrade the weapon, and then it's 25 for the next ability, and all you do is upgrade damage, recoil, and all that, and magazine, like the amount of ammo you can have on the gun. Whereas, like, in the old Saints Row the Third, you could see physical upgrades as well, where you got, like, a larger mag. You got, like, explosive rounds for your pistols. But, like, you could see the physical changes, whereas this, you just buy the upgrade. And then that was it. There was no physical change to the weapon, and it was really boring. I'm like, I want to see, like, I want to buy an AK, fully upgrade it, and have a 100-round mag sitting underneath with, like, a laser sight and an ACOG on it, and, you know, like a foregrip or something. Like, there needs to be physical change for it to be interesting. Otherwise, you know, I'm just upgrading it for the stats. You know, whereas I could be upgrading it for the stats and it looking cool. Like, you know, I want to pull up to a gang in it and be like, them be like, wow, what the fuck? This man's got like 100 mag on his AK? Should we be worried? But anyway, to the side missions, they are very repetitive. I mean, so repetitive that I just wanted to give up. I'm like, I don't want to do side missions anymore. But I need to, because I want to try and get 100% on the game. Like, I've done it with Saints Row the Third because I really enjoyed it. I didn't do it with Saints Row the 4 because I didn't hate it. It just felt really And so did Get Out How. It just really interested me. But when I played Saints Row the Third, I completed everything on the 360. I got it all done, all achievements. And I want to do the same with this one. But, like, the first time you do, like, a side hustle or a side venture, it was quite fun. It was, like, interesting. It's like, wow, now I've got to pick up some toxic barrels and not hit shit. Or, like, you know, now I've got to cover up a crime, or I've got to, you know, do these other various tasks that, you know, can be associated to criminal enterprise. But, like, the rate of how boring they get after you do the first venture of each one, it just rises rapidly. You're like, wow, cool. How repetitive of them. Like, but don't get me wrong, there are some ventures out there. Like the Kraken one was really interesting. I enjoyed that one quite a lot, to be fair. Which is like a LARP ordeal. There's like the weapon dealership. That one's quite fun. You got to use various weapons and stuff. But like, then there's like ventures like the Let's Pretend one that you open up, and you know you have to commit various heists, but like. It was like really, you didn't do much. It's like GTA. You sort of like scanned out the area. You know, you took pictures of cameras and entrances, which you normally do in GTA 5 if you've never done a heist. And then once you've done that, you just sit in the car and shoot some police as they get called in and all that as the alarm goes off. But that's it. You don't participate in the heist like GTA do. You just sit there and you shoot people. It's like, well, that's what I've been doing for the entire game. Why am I doing more? I want to be a part of the heist. You know, I want to have fun, but like there's old ventures that they've, you know, kept, like insurance fraud, that, you know, everyone will enjoy. I mean, it's really great. All you have to do is bounce on cars and explode and do as much damage to yourself as possible, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'll always find enjoyment in that, personally. But yeah, I think that's enough of the side missions, to be fair. I don't want this to be too long. I'm trying to aim for 20 minutes, you see. But like, overall, the game is like a sine wave. If for any mathematicians or scientists out there, it's like, you know, you got your peaks and troughs, and it's like a consistent wavelength, and like your troughs are like is how boring the game gets, and then at a certain time in the game, when you get far enough in, it peaks with the joy, and then it goes back down again, and it's constantly doing that. It's like it can't find a consistent way to be fun. But like, we're gonna move on to bugs, and I will say this is much more polished than Cyberpunk. Honestly, I hope most games that come out are a lot more polished than Cyberpunk when it first came out. But there were still bugs that were really irritating, like when I was trying to play co-op on stream, and like it just kept disconnecting, or it wouldn't connect us, and it's like, well, why introduce a feature if it doesn't work properly? And it, honestly, after enough times of trying to do the co-op, I just wanted to give up. I was like, I just want a solo stream, but you know, I couldn't do that because I've already got so far with my Xbox colleagues. So like, I know he's like online friend, but I like call them Xbox colleagues. There's a whole reason behind it if you're interested for next stream or next video. You know, if you ask in the comment section below, I'll just tell you there and then. The AI can be a bit faulty at times with like NPCs not doing what they're meant to, so there might be like a task where, you know, you've got like Eli and Nina and Kevin in the car, and then you've got to protect them while they escape, but they're just not driving. So it's like, well, cool, now I get to restart the checkpoint, not sure how far back I'm going to be put, and I get to do it all over again because these people, you know, because the NPCs are not, you know, not driving or not doing what they're supposed to do. Obviously, I can only speak to Xbox Series X, or maybe Xbox in general. I haven't played it on PlayStation and PC, and it might be a lot better in terms of bugs or AIs. So I would take what I say with a grain of salt, because obviously I can't speak for all consoles and all platforms, obviously. When it comes to music, you know, it's what anyone would expect from a sandbox. Apparently, it me now. Co-op multiplayer game. It, you know, it had a nice range of genres with some decent songs, and then you only like listen to 2 radios out of the 8 or so. And honestly, I can't fault it because most sandbox multiplayer games like GTA 5, like Cyberpunk, even though it's, you know, single player, you know, or like Sanctuary of the Third, they all have, you know, about 6 to 8 different radios. And then you just find the one you like and you just listen to it to fill in the noise, the deafening silence that, you know, takes over while you're driving somewhere. You know, I do wish that companies would be, I don't know if it's the company or the you know, the people who own the music, but I wish games would allow, I wish, you know, developers had the ability, or you know, use the ability to make music licensed for streamers to use without getting it copyright striked, or without getting it muted out during, you know, if someone wants to rewatch the stream, or if you want to make a YouTube video, it's not just silence. But obviously that's you know, that's with most games like Rocket League, but I feel like there needs to be, I don't know what it would be, but there just needs to be a push so like streamers and YouTubers can use that content, because the music does make the game sometimes, like especially when you're in those heated moments and you're like, yo, this is so cool, are we gonna make it out? And then, you know, suddenly you haven't got music playing for the stream because you don't want to get copyright striked, or you know, you want to make a YouTube video out of it, and now your viewers are like, this, you know, it's not as intense as with music. I hope you know what I mean when I say that. We're going to move on to collectibles now, and obviously, you know, collectibles are collectibles. It's what you would expect. You go around and collect them. There's nothing to fault there. That's the whole idea of collectibles for those hardcore fans that just want to collect everything. And we're going to move on to customization options, which, you know, is a big improvement from previous Saints Rows. I mean, there's a lot of options, like a serious amount. Like, there's people making Velma from Scooby-Doo or Shrek from Shrek. You know, they're just making really cool characters, and you know, you can download them and you can play around with them. You can use them and all that. You know, you can do a playthrough as them if you're into RP. You know. you know, it could be argued that if they spent less time on customization options, they could, you know, they could have spent more time on gameplay and fixing bugs and all that. But you know, they might release updates in the future that fix that, especially as DLC. So you know, I wouldn't take this review, you know, as it is in the future, more as it is as it played the game, which is about 2 weeks ago or maybe a week ago, something like that. You know, it wasn't long ago, so I don't think they released any updates. But I mean, Saints Row hasn't updated on my Xbox, so I assume they haven't. And you know, when it comes to the map is actually pretty good. The only thing I will fault is the sandstorm. It's so bad. Like the lighting, it's just terrible. It makes it look like a horror. Like it really does, and it's like, am I playing like Silent Hill or am I playing a sandbox fun game? You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, you know, it has a variety of different scenarios, such as the open plains to the massive city that was like interlocked by bridges, with 3 bridges at each various points of the main city, connecting down to sort of a rundown ghetto, you know, area that's filled with the hustle and bustle of rampant gangs trying to put a stop to the end of the Purple Shirt Gang, which you'll know the reference if you play the game. You know, rising to the big leagues and you know, the possible overtaking of the entirety of Santo Ileso. And you know, that's, you can't fault the map. I mean, it's got dams, and that's kind of my standard for a good map, is if it has dams, like GTA has dams. I forget the Battlefield 4 map that has a dam. That was a really good map. So honestly, that's what I stick to. If it has a dam, then it's a decent map at least. When it comes to the upgrade system, I know I talked about weapons and I talked about vehicles, but I want to more focus on, you know, the actual person. So if you play Saints Row the Third, you'll know what I'm talking about. Like in the upgrade system in Saints Row the Third, you paid some money and then you get increased health, increased stamina, you know, increased like cooldown of notoriety. You know, you get less of it, or you could call and stop the notoriety altogether. You could spend money so you could upgrade the ammo in your weapons, so you could get limited ammo. You know, all that really good stuff. But they've apparently just threw out the book and said, you know what, fuck that. We don't need upgrades. We just need simple ones where you pay for an upgrade and then you get like increased damage and increased ammo. Which was really upsetting because, you know, I really enjoyed the various upgrade systems. I enjoyed owning various like HQs, if you want to call it that, in Saints Row the Third, and then being able to upgrade it and have like this city that's just towered over by my massive HQs. But in this one, it's, you know, it's not the same. It's honestly, it's boring overall. Like if you once you've played through it all, and you're not a hardcore fan who likes to go after all the achievements and all the collectibles, or, you know, a hardcore gamer, I guess is the better term for it, you'll just be like, cool, and then you'll move on with your life and, I don't know, go back to Rumbleverse or Overwatch 2 or Fortnite or whatever you play, and you'll probably forget about the game. So you know, that's what I would say about it. But overall, I would rate the game, you know, 5.5 out of 10. And, you know, I would say if you are going to buy the game and you do have the patience, I would say wait until it goes on sale, like probably like 25 or 30 quid. And, you know, as a disclaimer, you know, it should be noted that the review only reflects the game state of when I played, as I said. But with all that being said, feel free to post your opinions in the comment section below, and with maybe a like and subscribe to top it off. I really hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the next video, and I hope this you know, content is up to the standards you would expect of I don't know how to put it, like a high-tea YouTuber. I'm not too sure how to put it, but you know what I mean. But yeah, if you do get Saints Row, I really think you would enjoy it up to a certain point. You know, if you did like one venture each, or you just went straight through the main story, you would enjoy it more if you had a friend. So good luck with the co-op and trying to get that shit to work. But yeah, that's it for me. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.